Hi, I'm Jennifer Lane Ramsey, and I would like to talk to you for just a couple of minutes here about my philosophy and style of management. If I've sent you this video link, it's because I'm applying for a position that also involves some kind of supervision of personnel. And so I do think that that is something that requires a little bit of explanation beyond some of the things that might naturally emerge in resumes and initial conversations. My experience in management has really gone alongside my career in both education. I also worked in nonprofits and supervised some swim clubs. I did some ministry work when I was younger. And so I've been in a position of leadership or management almost everywhere I've worked, even though it's run alongside a nonprofit or an educational pathway. Most recently, I've spent 5 years as a department chair in a very rapidly growing, very highly successful college. And I've really enjoyed that experience. And I would say that I'm often asked about my philosophy of management, whether in collective meetings or in interviews or things like that. And so I'd like to just go through some basic principles about how I work as a manager to kind of give you a feel of whether or not that works for your organization. Um, I am a manager of people more so than tasks. The tasks get done. I'm not saying that we ignore them. But my philosophy is if I treat the people that are working for me or under me or that I'm supervising with a tremendous amount of respect, and if I find out what their strengths are, then it's usually pretty possible to motivate them intrinsically. In almost every setting I've been in, motivating employees has been a very important part of what I do because they've mostly been nonprofits. And so we don't usually get to offer them a lot of money to keep going or advance and get a huge raise. They're usually people who have to be able to do what they love for the reason that they love it. But that doesn't mean that we don't have deadlines and tasks and things that need to be done well. And it doesn't mean that we don't need team players and people who can really communicate well. So my basic function as a manager is usually to find out what is this person's strengths and how do I intrinsically motivate them, which has become very important. So it may be that this is a working parent and I need to give them a flexible work schedule and that keeps them going. I write a lot of positive, specific affirmations and put that in writing and make sure they know that. I look at reviews primarily as something that I'm not saying I won't address things that need to be addressed. We definitely have had situations emerge where there's either been an employee discipline situation or something's gone very wrong or a huge mistake has been made. You cannot brush those things under the rug. And so when those things happen, at least initially, I try to really give people the benefit of the doubt. I try to take what Brene Brown calls a generous hypothesis and assume that this person is doing the best they can do. So what do we need to get into to figure out what's keeping them from hitting the mark? And if they're not hitting the mark, then what we really need to do is get very specific about what the mark is and how to help them hit it, where equipment needs to be purchased, do we need to do training, those kind of things. So I don't avoid conflict. I think that's the worst thing a manager can do. However, that can't be the only thing a manager does. So if that employee has made a mistake or we need them to do something differently, then I need to know what that person's strengths really are and how to motivate them and what makes them tick. So I spend time getting to know my people well, and then strategically thinking about who is going to be best in what capacity for what they're doing. And then if I have put enough positive encouragement in the bank and really let them know, hey, I appreciated this, and I was very specific, not just, hey, you're a great person, I like having you work here, but you did these 3 things that really made a difference in this way, and you saved us this much money, or you helped the student achieve something that they wouldn't have achieved, or you worked on this team and this project got done on time because you did these things. I fill that bank up with that kind of thing. So if I need to sit down and address something with them, it's less of a frightening situation. They should know I'm on their team and that kind of thing. That's not to say there haven't been difficult people. I have fired people. I have had to make the recommendation that people be fired. I've had to be the person to tell them that they're fired. And I've had to do all of the steps that lead up to those things. Those aren't pleasant. But I really believe that those things should never come as a surprise. And so I'm continually sitting down with my people and explaining, hey, we need to redo this, focus this. And most of the time, unless somebody's just really unmotivated or they're really in a career that's not a good match for them, they're going to want to do well. And so, by believing in them and giving them specific feedback and a safe environment to ask questions, I find that things work really well. The other things I really find that are important is I try to make sure that anyone working for me, especially my younger ones, has a clear understanding of a path to advancement. And I try to really invest in them. I try to make sure that if they have a passion for something, that they realize that we are going to stand behind them and help them grow in that area. And so those are the basic approaches I have. I would say I'm a very relational leader. Communication is my expertise area. My background, my master's is in it. I believe in dialogue. I believe in sitting people down and mediating when I need to. And I believe in not letting things go. So if something's starting to emerge that could be a problem later, rather than avoid it, I think it's best if we can sit down and have a respectful conversation before tempers flare and people lose their minds and all of those kinds of things. So anyway, I'm very successful as a manager. I have very low turnover rates everywhere I've worked. I think I've lost maybe 1% to 5%, depending on where it's been. But usually the turnover rate has gone down greatly for me. Because people, when they're in a collaborative, happy environment, will give you the world. And so making sure that the environment is there, that the training and tools are there is the main thing that I try to do. And much of that is interpersonal. So anyway, that's kind of my approach. And I appreciate you taking the time to learn a little bit more about it. Have a great day.